Today on The Nation Speaks, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas could face impeachment come January. That's what Representative Andy Biggs and some House Republicans plan. They laid out their arguments this week. Former Border Patrol Chief Rodney served under Mayorkas. He says the evidence is clear. The secretary knew exactly the crisis his open border policies would create. Finally, in America Q&A, we ask, should more officers be placed at the southern border to manage the influx of migrants? Hello and welcome to The Nation Speaks. I'm your host, Cindy Drew-Kerr. When the Republicans take control of the House in January, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas may face impeachment. Arizona Representative Andy Biggs is leading a charge to prove that Mayorkas is guilty of dereliction of duty in protecting the border, constituting high crimes and misdemeanors. Biggs itemized his articles of impeachment at a December 13th press conference, where he was flanked by fellow members of the Border Security Caucus and former senior officials from Customs and Border Protection and ICE. We have some highlights from that. Then I sat down for an exclusive interview with former Chief of Border Patrol Rodney Scott. He served in the Trump administration and under Secretary Mayorkas. He knows better than anyone else what the reality is on the ground. And he warns that as bad as the crisis is now, it's only going to get worse as Title 42 expires this week.
Secretary Mayorkas has committed high crimes and misdemeanors. His conduct is not incompetent, it's not negligent, it is willful and intentional. First, Secretary Mayorkas has failed to maintain operational control of the border as required under the law. It defines operational control as the prevention of all unlawful entries into the United States, including entries by terrorists, other unlawful aliens, instruments of terrorism, narcotics, and other contraband. The policies that he has enacted has produced the exact opposite of operational control. More than 4 million illegal aliens have been apprehended under Secretary Mayorkas' leadership. This number does not include known or unknown gotaways. His failure to maintain operational control of the border is allowing deadly, illegal drugs such as fentanyl to come into the country. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. Immigration authorities at the border apprehended nearly 100 illegal aliens on the terror watch list in the fiscal year 2022. Second, he may have lied to Congress when he testified that he was maintaining operational control of the border. Third, Secretary Mayorkas is failing to detain illegal aliens as required by law. Instead, he is simply releasing illegal aliens into the country. Fourth, he is abusing the narrow authority that Congress gave to him to parole aliens into the United States. Secretary Mayorkas is using parole in a categorical, generic manner and not on a case-by-case basis.
So you bet this is a high crime and misdemeanor. You bet he should be impeached. You bet that that is the tool that we have in the Constitution for the Congress to exercise its right to stand up and stop an executive branch that is trampling the American people and endangering them. 72,000 dead Americans. You all know the numbers. We can go through all the numbers. How about the text that I just got from a rancher in Texas? I'm getting seriously concerned about Title 42 ending. We've had 5 groups on us in the past 7 days, 6 groups if we count the last 10 days, 2 groups yesterday. It's like that on us where they've mostly been avoiding this place. It's a really bad sign. And no one, sheriff or DPS, is able to respond. What am I supposed to do? I can promise you Texans aren't going to put up with this anymore. And this body, this Congress, this Republican-led Congress needs to hold Alejandro Mayorkas accountable. He needs to be fired. He needs to be removed from office under the tools under the Constitution. These are lives that are at stake.
Look, I've been at this immigration enforcement since 1984. That's when I joined the Border Patrol. I climbed the ranks to be the first acting director of ICE that actually came up through the ranks. I have worked for 5 attorney generals. I have worked for 9 secretaries of Homeland Security. I have worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas is the first president and first cabinet official that came into office and unsecured a border. Stone cold fact. Every president I've worked for, even Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, took some steps to secure the border because they understood, as you just heard, you can't have national security without border security. Alejandro Mayorkas unsecured the most secure border we ever had. I don't care what your opinion is on illegal immigration, but when you create a crisis this big that takes 70 to 80% of agents off the line, it creates a national security crisis. Border Patrol's arrested people from 161 countries. Many of these countries are sponsors of terrorism. They've arrested 116 of them trying to sneak in the country. There's over 1 million recorded gotaways. If you don't think a single one of those 1 million people gotaways came here to do us harm, came from a country that sponsors terrorism, then you're a fool. What's happening on the border right now is the biggest national security failure since 9/11. That should scare the hell out of everybody.
Almost every day in my South Texas community, I get a text from some sheriff about another bailout, another stash house found where young men and women are abused, another fentanyl seizure. Today, the text came from my son's school, and this is what it said. The sheriff's office notified the campus of reports of legal aliens in the area who may be armed and dangerous. This is happening in the communities in our United States because this secretary refuses to do his job and protect the communities in this country.
Last week, President Biden visited my district. He visited the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. And when he was asked, well, while you're here to this border state of Arizona, are you going to visit the border? He said, oh, no. I have more important things to do.
He has served as this administration's chief architect of their open border policies. Literally, it's not hyperbolic to say the next sleeper cell could be in the United States planning the next terrorist attack, and we would have absolutely no idea. And that is in part because of Secretary Mayorkas' complete abdication of his constitutional responsibilities.
We're joined now by former Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott. Rodney, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Big news. There's a move to try to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. You were there at the press conference. What, in your mind, are the strongest arguments for impeachment?
So as you heard, there were a lot of arguments. Most of it focused on just not doing his job or the fact the border's out of control currently. But I believe the strongest argument is that he blatantly lied under oath to Congress. The border is not secure. No administration official in the history of this country has ever claimed that the border is secure. In March of 2021 was the first time he went out on all the Sunday talk shows people remember, and he told everybody the border was closed, the border was secure.
The message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
I was still the chief at the time. I pushed back against those statements then and asked what he was basing it on. And I was told, well, we thought you would like how it sounded. We thought you would like us saying that. I'm like, I would like it if it was true, but it's not true. America deserves for their government officials, especially confirmed officials, and they're testifying under oath, to just tell the truth whether you like it or not. He lied to the Congress and he lies to America every single day. I think that's enough for impeachment.
What do you expect that to achieve? Because there's a very good chance, A, it won't get through the Senate, and even if it did, who's to say that the next head of Homeland Security won't implement the same policies?
My focus is really on the truth. The Secretary of Homeland Security, no matter who it is, should be expected to tell the truth, and when they don't, regardless of who comes in next, they should be impeached and run out. I am hoping that through the hearings, having impeachment hearings, that you bring in, that Congress brings in career professionals, non-politicals, and they ask them questions about the border in a way that's televised and America can see, that's not politicized. I think if America really knew what was going on the border, it'd scare the heck out of most people. I want the American public to actually have enough information to make informed decisions, and I think the only way we're going to get anybody to tell the truth is through impeachment hearings and put them under oath. So, for example, I would ask every single one of the Border Patrol chiefs, I'd put them under oath, ask them flat out, you're under oath, is the border in your area secure or not? Follow-up question, have you provided information up through your chain of command that you have a reasonable belief the Secretary of Homeland Security is aware of the conditions in your area? Period. And see if that matches up with the Secretary of Homeland Security. There is a legal definition of a secure border. But right now, I think even for Secretary Mayorkas, you tell me what's the definition of a secure border, because you also run TSA and you also run Secret Service, and you're claiming that 2,000 gotaways a day on the southwest border, 115 known terrorists got interdicted, but let's focus on hundreds and hundreds of miles of border where you can't deploy a single agent to even know what's going on. That's your definition on the border? Do you have a different definition for the White House? Do you have a different definition for every airport you're responsible for? Secretary Mayorkas, you said the border was secure. What's your definition? We know the legal definition, and it clearly doesn't match that.